Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another Qualifier play-in best of one event. This is going to be more Wilds of Eldraine sealed, where we're trying to get 6 wins before 2 losses, but no matter what, we'll get some amount of gems as a little bit of pity prizes. So without further ado, let's just bust open these packs and see what we get to build with today. Alright, here's a look at our rares for today's sealed pool. They're a little all over the place. Talion's Messenger and Sleep Cursed Fairy do work well together. They are both solid blue flyers, so we'll certainly take a look at that color. Then Godric is a super powerful red rare for aggressive decks that can consistently trigger Celebration. And Spiteful Hexmage has a lot of good synergies, with any bargain cards to sacrifice that cursed roll, or if you just have a lot of 1/1s in your deck, like 1/1 rats and stuff, then you just put the cursed roll onto a rat, and there's no downside to your 1 mana 3/2. So pretty fun stuff to build around there, and then some random dual lands. Decent rares for today. Let's check out our multicolored and colorless cards, and we have 0 multicolored cards, so no signpost uncommons to try to build around, and we have 1 Evolving Wilds and 1 Crystal Grotto for fixing, which is not the greatest. Our good fixing is going to be if we are in one of our color pairs that involves one of these dual lands. So weird sealed pool in terms of the multicolored and colorless. Hopefully that means we've got some just really solid monocolored cards, but let's find out as we check each color individually. And white looks pretty bad. The only non-creature spell is the Light Blades, which is a very mediocre removal spell. And there's some decent creatures on curve like House Mouse and Armory Mice. And Pie Wielder, but nothing super exciting. And there's plenty of pretty dirtily creatures like Twin Veil Guide, Reindeer, Savior of the Sleeping. White does not look like we're going to be playing it. Blue, on the other hand, does give us the Talion's Messenger and the Sleep Cursed Fairy, with some other fairy cards to just have a lot of flyers in the deck, like Picklock Prankster and Obira's Attendants. We also have decent non-creature spells. I don't think this is a good freeze-in-place deck, and I'm not very high on Curiosity, but with this high of flying creature count, maybe Curiosity will be okay in here. But I think Ice Out and Spellstead are pretty much always solid blue counter spells, so blue's looking pretty interesting to me. That might be one of our core colors to the deck. See what we've got in black. We're certainly not playing a Waste Knot, but I think that's about it. Maybe not the Ariet's Whisper, but just about everything else looks pretty solid to me. We've got multiple more fairies for blue-black fairy stuff. These will synergize with our fairy rare that makes it so when any fairy attacks, we draw a card, discard a card. Apologies for a Johnny in the background. That just means somebody followed while I am recording the video here. But yeah, Spellscore Covering, great in blue-black, so that's pretty exciting. So blue-black fairies is certainly a place we could be. Let's check out our red cards now. Got the Godric. This is the weirdest curve in the history of sealed pools. So we have decent removal with Witchstalker Frenzy and Frantic Firebolt, but if I want to play a good aggro deck, our secondary card needs to have the 2-mana creatures, because our red is... what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 3-mana creatures, and that's basically it? Just a pile of 3-mana stuff? Yeah, I mean, the curve looks really awkward. The quality's not horrible. The Witchstalker Frenzy's great. The Firebolt is fine. The Godric's great. The Belligerents are pretty good, and the Redcap Thieves are pretty good. The Daredevils are okay. But yeah, there's nothing incredible about our red. And there is that pretty big downside of just everything costing 3 mana, so interesting red, I will give it that. Very, very interesting red. And our green just doesn't do anything at all, it looks like. So another peek at the colorless cards. None of these cards are things I'd really be interested in playing, but if I'm low on playables, Candy Trail can fit into pretty much anything. Bowls of Porridge, I think I'd play after Candy Trail, but it also fits into anything as mediocre removal, mediocre tapper. So that's interesting. Oops. I'm trying to look at multicolored. Yeah, 0 multicolored cards. Yep. Okay. Well, I'm not a big fan of the white. The green is basically empty, and the red is awkward as all get up with just all 3 mana cards. I'll take a peek at blue plus red and black plus red, but there are so many 3-mana cards in red that even choosing blue or black are our best secondary colors there. Even throwing a secondary color in our curve is just 3 mana. So I really don't think that looks the greatest. And blue has the most 2-mana cards out of any of our good colors, and there's 4 of them. So it's going to be a deck that has like 4 2-drops and then 10 3-mana cards. I think we're just doing blue-black things, honestly. Did we have good fixing? No. We have 1 Crystal Grotto, 1 Evolving Wilds. Don't think that gets us here. I think we're probably... I mean, I could splash in our dual lands, because these are really powerful when you turn them into creatures. A 5/5 that turns something into a 3/3, and a 1/4 that drains your opponent for 2 life. And we can just run these 2 over 2 swamps here. Right, so it wanted to be 8/9, or 2 swamps. So we run this over the 8th island, we run this over the 9th swamp, and then... I don't know if we can support that. And then just run a single Crystal Grotto, I guess, because I don't think it would be worth playing a Terramorphic Expanse and then having 1 Plains and 1 Forest in here. That would be super awkward. But maybe running some tap lands just for that off chance Crystal Grotto would be worth it. I think that's a really cute thing to consider. I don't think we should do it in this sealed pool, but we're not far off from wanting to do that. Ideally, probably have like 2 Crystal Grottos and like a Prophetic Prism in here. Prophetic Prism would help a lot for doing that kind of miniature splash for these duels, but with only 1 Crystal Grotto in the whole deck and no treasure tokens out of our main colors here to also potentially activate them, this is just going to be so inconsistent to hit our 1 copy of Crystal Grotto that we're basically just slowing down our mana base for almost no reward of just having like a tapped swamp and a tapped island. So really cute thing to consider potentially for other sealed pools. I just don't think this sealed pool is capable of doing anything that spicy with the lack of treasures and prisms and collector's vaults, anything like that. So we're just going to be doing some bread and butter magic today. Blue-black boring stuff deck. We get to cut 8 cards here. Waste not does nothing unless I keep Ariet's Whisper in, but I kind of want to cut Ariet's Whisper as well. So let's drop those immediately. The Freeze in Place is a card I'm very unimpressed with unless you have a very good aggressive lead already, so it is not good in a lot of situations. Flashy Spellcaster feels really, really slow. Every time I've ever cast this thing, it just kind of dirtles around or gets got. Dream Spoilers, we've got 6 instants. That still feels a bit low for this. We don't have a ton of excellent fairy synergies. I think I dropped these 4 drops. And then cut some mediocre 1-mana stuff like Tabby, maybe Curiosity here. We've got a couple good flyers to put Curiosity onto, but there's a lot of excellent, cheap, instant speed removal in this format, so I've just found that it's really easy to get 2 for 1 to try and do Curiosity things. I don't love Alchemist much, but I do like how it fits into the curve at 2 mana. Probably keep it for that. Same with Wicked Visitor, don't love it much. Don't love Mocking Sprite much either, but I do want to leave some amount of fairies in here alongside the Talion's Messenger. They should be fine. Ice Out's fine, Butcher's fine, Grim Search is fine, but on the lower end. Yeah, I only need to cut 2 more cards. We could cut these, and actually looking at the quality of these, they're pretty on par with the Spellcaster that I already cut with the Dream Spoilers that I cut. So we could maybe keep those in for curve purposes. I am not loving this sealed pool. We can definitely play Evolving Wilds in 2-color. I don't love playing Crystal Grotto in 2-color, though. How's our removal, by the way? We've got a Fairy Fencing, we've got a Taken by Nightmares, a Stab Wound, a Spell Stutter, and an Ice Out. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I don't think we need to throw a 3 bowls of porridge in here for mediocre removal or anything. Again, looking at the red, there are some good 3-drops here, like the Double Thief, the Godric, and the Belligerent, but red is mostly Just a bunch of minecart daredevils and stuff. That's kind of just whatever. Yeah, I think blue-black is the place to be, but red is our next best color. It's just so weird that it's all 3 mana. Yeah, our red's not terrible. Just wanted to take a peek while I was looking at other stuff to put in. Yeah, red's fine, but I think blue-black fairies is the place to be. 4 cuts to go. Probably some collection of these cards. Still quite a bit of 1-drops. Probably drop Warehouse Tabby. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard, you get a 1/1 rat. Otherwise, it's a very slow Death Toucher. And we just don't have roll token synergies, enchantment synergies. Like, it works with Stab Wound. I Stab Wound their creature and get a 1/1, which is kind of cute, but I think that's literally it at this point. Yeah, that's literally the only card outside of Spiteful Hexmage, which is already good by itself, so like 2 synergies. Yeah, we drop the Tabby. When it comes to instants, 6 instants still feels a bit low for Dream Spoilers, but at least it's another 4-drop. At least with Spellcaster, it's like 6 instants and 1 sorcery for ways to get those rolls. But even that is quite the dirtily card. Curiosity is such a gambly kind of card, where you can just get Candy Grappled, you can just get Torch the Towered, and your opponent could also just have a blocker on board, in which case this doesn't do anything. The thing that makes this super awkward is, like, there's some instances where it opens you up to getting 2-for-1 hard. Like, if you ever try to cast this into open mana from your opponent, could just get got by instant speed removal, and you'll probably just be very far down if that happens. But the other thing is that the only time that it's good is in positions where you are in a good enough spot to just consistently attack your opponent, which is not all the time, even if your deck is full of flyers and evasive creatures. Sometimes you're going to be on the back foot, you're going to need to block, and you're going to draw into Curiosity, and you're just not going to be able to use it, because you have to hold your blockers up. And then obviously when you're in positions where you don't have a good flyer, or your opponent has a good creature to block flyers, then it also doesn't do anything. You've basically just drawn a bonus land at that point. Just a useless card. Yeah, there's a lot of instances where Curiosity can go really wrong. Obviously, there's instances where it goes really right and it wins you the game, but I think you have to account for the many instances where it does not do anything close to that. We'll try out the Dream Spoilers. We'll try out the Fairy over the Spellcaster thingy. And then Sleight of Hand is just the definition of filler, so it's just an easy swap it out. Like, it can make the cut, it cannot make the cut. Your deck's going to be just about the same with or without it. So we'll drop it. Before I commit to this deck, I kind of want to take a look at blue-red at least. Blue's 100% our best color because of Talion's Messenger and Sleep Cursed Fairy. But when you look at our black rare is Spiteful Hexmage, which just doesn't even really work much in this deck. You got to be able to bargain away that cursed roll for this to pop off. And we just have Rowan's Grim Search and Ice out for bargains, so that's pretty inconsistent. There's some other ways to use the Hexmage. If you have a rat on board, you can put the cursed roll onto a rat or something like that instead. But we also only have like 1 rat token in the deck, so we have like 1/1/1 to put a cursed roll onto. And that's on a 3-mana card. That's on Lord Skitter's Butcher, so it doesn't look like a very good Hexmage deck. The biggest reason we're playing black is just for solid removal, like Taken by Nightmares and Fairy Fencing. But even that, there's not a bunch of incredible removal. There's no Candy Grapples for like incredibly efficient stuff. I guess Fairy Fencing is more efficient than Candy Grapple because of the amount of fairies we have, so... I mean, I really like the removal. That's basically the only reason we're playing black, though. So I want to take a peek at the red, even with the super awkward curve. Is the quality of those red creatures enough to make up for it? Like, I guess we have Scream Puff, Butcher, Coven. Like, we have a few pretty high-quality creatures in black as well. It's just these 3 are kind of mediocre. Yeah, I'm going to do due diligence here and check out the red. Alright, here's a look at the blue-red build. There's a couple things going for red, but I think they're pretty equal to the things we had going for black. The cutest thing is that we have 2 unruly catapults so that we get to do the curiosity combo for lucky. Try to pop off with that. So this might be the more fun deck. But obviously that mana curve is wild. Still a stack of 3-drops. Made it look not so bad. We cut all the 3 mana 4/2s here. We get a Firebolt and a Frenzy to make up for the lack of black removal here. But not a ton of synergy going on here. Just some blue flyers and some red beatdown creatures, so we try to just beat down with a bunch of flyers instead, and maybe get a catapult curiosity combo going to win the game. It's interesting. I don't think it's much more synergistic than the blue-black deck. I don't think it's much more powerful. I think they're actually pretty equal. It could be reasonable to go this way instead. And this does look like the more fun deck to build with the double catapult to go with the curiosity, so you know what? I think I am going to run it this way. And again, like, here's a look at all the cards that I'm not playing, just so you can see if there's anything you'd want to put in here. There's 2 freeze in places, the only blue cards we're not playing. I don't think we really want them. When it comes to red cards, like, we theoretically want more instants and sorceries to untap the catapult and pop off with that thing, but we have Dragon Mantle, Gnawing Crescendo, Raid Bombardment. Those are the only non-creature cards that I cut out of the deck. And as for creatures, it's just a bunch of daredevils, a red cap thief, and a bruiser. So, I mean, we could pivot the creatures around a little bit, but everything left is quite mediocre out of red and blue. Weird stuff overall. Let's throw an Evolving Wilds in at least. But, yeah, I believe we call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at the final deck list that we are choosing to build today. We're a blue-red spells aggro hybrid thing, mainly just some aggro stuff. We're using some blue flyers like Sleep Cursed Fairy and Talion's Messenger and Picklock Prankster to jam in for some damage in the sky. That's going to be hard for our opponents to stop, and we're using some nice aggressive red creatures like Belligerent to the Ball, Godric Cloaked Reveler, to get in our damage on the ground. So beaten down with all that kind of stuff. Some counter spells and some burn spells to clear the path with Spell Stutter, Ice Out, Frantic Firebolt, and Witch Stalker Frenzy. And 1 MVP MLG Wombo combo of Unruly Catapult and Curiosity to potentially just win us the game, drawing like a million cards if they don't kill our Catapult super duper quickly, because it doesn't matter how many blockers they have, we get to draw a ton of cards off Curiosity Catapult, which gets around a lot of the downsides of Curiosity and becomes kind of an insane combo. So hopefully we can get that going on, so at least we can have quite a bit of fun with this Qualifier playing event. But you can check through the sealed pool yourself if you are interested, scrolling back through the video a little, but I feel this one was pretty mediocre. I don't think there was any deck here that was going to have a super great time trying to jam out a 6-win run. So maybe went for a slightly weaker build of blue-red over blue-black fairies, but this one looks more fun with one really big goal of Unruly Catapult plus Curiosity. So without further ado, let's head into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are on the play for game 1. Keep this hand and curve out pretty normally. We don't have a very high count of instant sorceries and fairies, so I think most of the time we are supposed to just jam out the Prankster for the flying vigilant creature. Checked the count in the deck. We have 8 out of the 31 in the deck, so ideally that does sound kind of consistent if we went for it immediately. But I have missed on a lot of Free the Phase, so I'm a little hesitant. Our opponent started off with a Pollen Shield Hair, 2 mana 2/2. And there's the Candy Grapple for the Belligerent of the Ball. Premium removal. I'll play around the rat out here and not block, but this could be my opponent just trying to get in free damage, in which case they succeed. Let's drop a Grabby Giant. Yeah, I guess with 8 cards we could hit off of Prankster in our deck usually. We should probably be trying to greed it out. Because 8 out of 40 is 1 out of every 5. So it's 1 out of 5 on average, and we were at a little bit better than that there. Since we already drew 7 of our cards. Feels like it's going to be about 50-50 every time on Free the Fae, which is a bit rough, because obviously you don't want to spend 2 mana to do nothing. But... okay. Unassuming Sage and a Pollen Shield Hair. Just try to get in damage here. We just actually can't Firebolt the Sage. It's only 2 damage right now. Nothing I can do with Aquatic Alchemist with only a creature in grave. All I can do is hit them for 1. Yeah. Continue the Dirtle Fest here, I suppose. Just drop a Redcap Thief. For more stuff we can sack to draw a card later. And I don't think I'm that impressed by just playing Alchemist here when I could save Bubble up to bring back a removal spell at a later time. It'll cost me my next draw step to redraw a removal spell off of the Alchemist, but could be worth it. Alright, at least it looks like we both have some mediocre stuff going on here, so we're just hanging out. Catapult's a pretty great draw. So if we keep staring at each other and doing nothing, at least Catapult's going to keep chipping away at their life total. Alright, I guess we're just hanging out. Now I can sacrifice the treasure to the Grabby Giant and still hold up Frantic Firebolt. Could also draw into my double blue counterspell, so I'm going to hold up double blue here. Just find another land, but that land can be turned into a different card off of Grabby Giant. I guess with Grabby Giant and a potential Curiosity Unruly Catapult combo, kind of have to worry about milling out, because we don't have that many like win conditions in here. Just chipping away with catapults and flyers, really. Suppose the Alchemist helps a little bit in terms of not milling out. Could pay Belligerent and Sprite just to trigger Celebration. Try to get a Menace attack in, but it's still a 5-power creature, double block. Yeah, I mean, 5-power creature just double blocked, we kill both, but they have 5 cards, 5 lands on board with 6 cards in hand, so they probably have combat tricks and stuff at this point. I think it's probably best to just keep doing what we're doing. We just chip in with our flyer, play another flyer, and hold up the Firebolt. Just hanging out. This probably dies to a rat out, though. If they didn't have one earlier, if they have one at all in their sealed pool, they're almost halfway through their deck. Expel the Interlopers. Just go for a board wipe here. Sure. It's not horrible. So they were just going to choose 0 here, obviously, so even the catapult would die. A new catapult. Ice out, you are fashionably late. aren't you? I drew the ice out off of sacking the catapult. That's so sad. Probably got to hold the ice out up for whatever they play. Probably should have played Belligerent. Because if they tap out for like a 5 or a 6 drop here, then I hit them for 3 next turn instead of 1. Alright, 3-1's fine. Got a 0-4 to block that. 2-2's fine. Is that it? That is it. Okay. Now we have Ice Out and Spell Stutter. Cool. Just catapult them for like 6 more turns here. Catapult spell, catapult spell, catapult spell, catapult spell. That's the game plan. It's a slow one, it's a grindy one, but it's what we've got. Alright, well. See what kind of tricks they have here. Probably go for multiple, we just save the catapult. Do they have both board wipes? Do they have the destroy everything and then also the -X/-X? And they're going to -1/-1 everybody here? That would be insane, but I've got the counterspell for that one if they have it. It's a 5 mana flyer that does that. Lets them exile any number of creatures from the grave. Okay, it's a Stingblade Assassin. That makes more sense. And Spell Stutter does not counter that right now, so we ice it out. Let's be the most annoying player in the qualifier play-in right now. Bubble up and ice out. When you've got a catapult on board, that's kind of the game plan. I'd rather hold up a Firebolt or drop an Alchemist. I think I'd drop an Alchemist here. Still holding up Spell Stutter, which I think is the more important card. They're down to 6. Catapult's on board, ready to hit them down to 5, even if it dies this turn. 2, potentially 3 power attackers with a removal spell to help clear the path. Catapult shenanigans for the win. Stab wound for the belligerent, you got it. Still hits them next turn and I'm at 18, so I'm not worried about the damage it's dealing to me. And they're just going to pass the turn. Well, we certainly have lethal on board now. With a Firebolt. This gives us lethal on board with 2 counterspells up for whatever they do to try to not die. And there's the concession. Alright, weird game, but okay. I guess we start things off 1-0, just doing catapult nonsense for our first victory. Oh, Lord, alright. That's a hand for game 2. I mean, it's got our classic red issue of all 3 mana spells, but we have the Sleep Cursed Fairy turn 1 from the blue half of our deck at least. We also don't have the second red source for the Godric, but just the fairy and a catapult's already kind of scary based on what happened last game. But that was also our opponent doing almost nothing all game. I think turn 3 Godric's gonna be nice, so I'm gonna actually get the Evolving Wilds down, which misses out on 1 untapped trigger on the fairies, unfortunately. Triple black for our opponent to start things off at a Sweet Tooth Witch. Well, so much for Godric, that's not gonna be a good attack. still play it and get my 3/3 down. Now there's Italian's Messenger too. Get my 3/3 down, but I'm not going to want to attack in with it. I'm not going to want to block the Witch with it. It's basically going to do nothing, whereas Catapult's going to stop Witch and start pinging them. I think I play the Catapult weirdly. Sorry, Godric, but at least we have gotten the second red for later when we do need Godric. I hate that this is a free bluff for them. Right, like they make this attack whether or not they have a Stingblade Witch, whether or not they have a Rat Out, because it doesn't cost them anything if I block with my Catapult, but it costs me a lot if they have Stingblade Witch or Rat Out to kill the Catapult, and those cards are both commons, so I think I have to not block, which means they just get free damage off the bluff if they do have one of those, or if they don't have one of those cards, sorry. So... don't love that. But at the same time, again, if I played Godric, I would just be straight not blocking also. Fairy Fencing. So rude. So much for my rare. At least there's a red cap thief to give my other rare its celebration trigger. That's pretty cool. Jam in with it. At this point. Now that I know there's a red cap thief coming. I guess? But then again, I'm just not blocking here. Take another 4, go to 11. Like, really don't win that race. They're on blue-black here. Blue-black is 100% a color pair that would be more than willing to play the Stinging Fairy. The Blight Blade Assassin thing. So block here, they play that fairy, kill the catapult, goes to my turn, I firebolt the 3/1, they're down to just a Barrow Naughty. Honestly, it's the fairy, this isn't the end of the world. If it's Rat Out, it's pretty bad for me. Oh, they've just been bluffing. Or they'd rather take my Nightmares the Godric here, which is fair. Alright, well... we get one actual block off the catapult, so we're gonna just keep doing that from now on. Now we drop Talion and hold up the Desperate Parry. But I don't think I even cast it. I guess that lets me block the Barrow Naughty and then cast it. Yeah, because now they have the mana up to double buff the Naughty to kill the Messenger. So they're likely to do that. But instead, they play the Tough Cookie off the Splash, which is very powerful. 2 food tokens, that's multiple 4/4s. We're going to have to Firebolt a Tough Cookie instead now. This makes me feel like they still have a Rat Out then, because they don't have the mana for... they don't have the mana for the Blight Fairy thing. And also, Rat Out wouldn't kill Messenger. So hold up. I guess I'm just confused altogether. Yeah, Rat Out would kill Catapult, I guess. So they're going to post-combat Rat Out my Catapult? As the plan? Probably. Do I parry the Sweet Tooth Witch to be mana efficient here then? And keep the Catapult guaranteed? This could just be big bluff energy over here from our opponent. But I don't think the parry's gonna accomplish anything too much more crazy anyway. Alright. Again, they're like free bluffs, they're not blocking anything anyway. Sleight of hand is the draw. Spice. Spice indeed. So we're going to Firebolt a Tough Cookie so we don't have to get beaten down by a bunch of 4/4 food. But then Messenger actually outraces Naughty quite a bit because it keeps getting bigger. Did I play around any +1/+1 tricks for the tough cookie? I can't think of +1/+1 stuff out of blue-black. They could have a counter spell of some kind. Spell stutter, but I could pay for it barely. They could have the hexproof trick. If they have the thing that gives it hexproof and turns it into a 4/4, then they counter the firebolt. They could have the thing that makes it come back from the grave with a wicked roll. That would be really, really gross. Okay, they're just going to have Sweet Tooth Witch throw the cookie at me, which is fair. Okay. I guess the Barrow Naughty does get to buff itself. Threaten more damage, but I think we still send in Messenger. Redcap Thief to trade for Witch, but I can already block it with Catapult forever if they don't have the Rat Out or the Fairy that they've had multiple times to cast, so it feels like they don't. I guess the Thief can also attack in on the ground, so it does threaten more damage. But Sleight of Hand's immediate damage. Greed. Grab a Mary Bars. Okay. Tenacious Tome Seeker. Filthy. Pick up a Fairy Fencing or Taken by Nightmares. Absolutely disgusting. This card's insane. There's 3 mana, 3/2, return an instant or sorcery. So just kill my creature. Fairy Fencing already kills Catapult even if I don't block. So we obviously block. They just spend a black and 1 and my Catapult's dead already. Even without declaring a block. Alright, so they are going to kill the Messenger, which makes sense. Find the Spell Stutter, fashionably late. Feels like I need to play Attendance to block the Barrow Naughty here. Well, I guess I stop 3 damage no matter what I block, and if I block on the ground I can still hold up Spell Stutter instead. And then if I draw another land, I can play Attendance and hold up Spell Stutter next turn. But yeah, I mean, all these are 3 damage. So 2 blockers on the ground stops 6. A blocker on the ground, a blocker in the sky stops 6. They can afford the Spell Stutter on that. That is disgusting. God dang it. These are just incredible draws for our opponent. These next couple, or these last couple turns with Tome Seeker into Naturalize now. Gross. And probably game ending as well. Throw the food at us, but then they don't have the mana to buff Naughty as well this turn. They almost definitely should throw the food at us. Yep, there it goes. Down to 5. Gotta love fashionably late counter spells. If they don't top deck another green source, they can't try to cast this Vanguard anyway. So is it better to play Attendance and kill the Barrow Naughty than it is to play a Mary Bards and hold up a counterspell? 4, 5, 6, 7. They need 9 mana to triple buff the Naughty, so Bards does stop 3 damage. Attendance stops 3 damage. So they stop the same amount of damage, but this holds up a counterspell. And then if I top deck a land, we can play Attendance while holding up a counterspell. I can only hold up Stutter with Attendance if I hit the land, and I don't. So now I don't get to hold up a counterspell, and all I can do is play a flyer and hope they don't kill it. Ooh. But yeah, I couldn't hold up Ice Out with Attendance if I hit a land, but I could hold up Stutter for 3, at least, since this is a fairy. Alright. That one turn of shields down did not kill us. Yet. Now there's an Ice Rot Sentry to hit them for 4 damage a turn, kills them in 2 swings. Talion's Messenger? We have to ice that out. Otherwise, +1/+1 counters and card draw for them. And Spell Stutter is counter unless they pay 3 right now, so that's not going to work. It also gives them lifelink on the Barrow Naughty, so that would be really, really bad for us. Another Tome Seeker, but thank the Lord they can't bargain with it right now. Attack with just a Sentry. Tap the 3/2. Have their life total. And now I can Frenzy the Flyer while still holding up Spell Stutter, if I do it immediately. Or I could hold up either or, but I'm only holding up 1 at instant speed. This might be a bad idea. But I'm going to kill the Flyer here and hold up just the Stutter next turn. So I can potentially do both. Really doesn't feel like Stutter is going to do anything here, but who knows. If they have to cast mana off of Crystal Grotto, it might, because it soaks up an additional mana. So I could counter like a 5-drop if they use Crystal Grotto. Or even a 4-drop at this point. Yeah, I could counter a 4-drop if they have to use Crystal Grotto on it. Because they'd have to tap 5 of their lands total. They'd have 2 up, and Spell Stutter is counter unless they pay 3 because I have a fairy on board. So there's a shot. Spell Stutter does something. Also, obviously, if they double spell, definitely not if they Candy Grapple. Hit a Belligerent to the ball. Cross fingers they don't hit another removal spell again. Give them 1 draw step to draw an out. They've already hit 2, 3 removal spells. 22 cards left. I think that's reasonable. They have 1 top deck to kill me, or we win. So Forest for the Storm Vanguard thingamabob, but they're done on board. Yeah, just cast it. I let it resolve, because it doesn't stop Attendance from killing them. Take the trade. Kill them with Attendance, holding up the counterspell. All right. That was a real close one the whole way through. Felt like we were on the back foot a lot from the start, but very grindy top deck war in the end is going to end in our favor. Very slightly at 2-0 now as we head into game 3. And here we are for game 3. Messenger with a Spell Stutter up later and Onobira's Attendance. Seems good. Could also play Belligerent first, but yeah, I guess that might draw removal and then Messenger gets to stick around longer. I don't know. We'll see what we draw into. That could affect what I want to do. If our hand is really bad, we might want to just play Messenger first to start ditching cards to draw other stuff. If I get other just aggressive creatures, we might want to play Belligerent first and try to push for damage. Ooh, turn 1 Utopia Sprawl. Phenomenal stuff. Okay, yeah, Merry Bards kind of makes me want to play Belligerent first, because then I can immediately trigger Celebration the turn after. Play a 3-mana 3/3, turn 4, Celebration off of Merry Bards, and it attacks as a 4/3 Menace. That is certainly a Spell Stutter target. Get the Stutter out of the way right now, get that Ice Rot Sentry off the board, don't have to worry about that nonsense. Now we are playing the aggro with Belligerent into Merry Bards. Gonna put the roll on the Merry Bards because it can get 2 +1/+1 counters off the Young Hero roll, whereas the Belligerent can only get 1. As the Young Hero roll loads counters up on your creature until it reaches 4 toughness, then it stops getting any more. So basically always want to put the Young Hero roll on the lower toughness creature early in the game. Depends on what blockers look like and all that, but it's a simple rule of thumb. Alright, let's trigger our celebration here. Unless they spell swindle us, or spell stutter us, I always get those confused. Alright, they're down to 16. And we've got 7 power attacking next turn. Potentially. Galvanic Giant, just a 3/3. Attempts to trade into one of our creatures, and then our parry goes absolutely wild here. Yeah, I get the straight 2-for-1 off the Desperate Parry. Feels pretty excellent. That doesn't happen tremendously often. And now we get to cast Italian's Messenger, which hits harder than Catapult, because it hits for 2 the first time it attacks, and then 3 after that, and then just stacks up a lot quicker than Catapult. Even if Catapult does a lot over the course of a game. Ingenious Prodigy, that's a very good one for our opponent. Can draw them some extra cards throughout the game. I think we want to trigger Celebration so that we have excellent attacks here, where we attack with a 5-power creature that can trade into it, attack with a menace creature, and attack with a flyer. So we need to get the treasure off the Grabby Giant, and also play a permanence, either the Giant or the Catapult. I think I'd rather just play a 4-power creature at this rate. So 2 permanents hit the board for Celebration, so that they can't block Belligerent. And Merry Bards will be attacking as a 5-power creature, so they can't profitably block that. They can only trade. There's another Belligerent as the draw. I think I take a second Belligerent over a Catapult at this point, because if we can trigger another Celebration next turn, that's going to be insane. Giving 2 of our creatures menace. So if we draw any 2-drops, if we're super lucky. Don't have a lot of them, but I've got Picklock Prankster and a couple Aquatic Alchemists. Curiosity, Sleep Cursed Fairy at 1 mana, those would help do that as well. There's like 5 cards we could hit that would give us Celebration. Not the worst odds out of 27, but not that likely. Alright, they gotta take the trade there, go down to 7. Facing quite a bit of power. Return from the Wilds for a 1/1 and a land. That'll be their 6th mana. It's a pretty big deal. 2 mana left. What do? The bounce spell for the Giant? No, a Bitter Chill. Alright. There is a land for us, which I'm not in love with. They already have to just chump on board here. I'm a little interested in playing a Belligerent and drawing a card instead of just playing a 3/4 flyer. Because just having a wide board state on the ground, especially with multiple cards that can give menace, is already a very solid way to find lethal here. I don't think we need to be jumping into the sky enough that it's worth giving up on drawing an extra card right now. I think just getting a bonus card here is a pretty big deal. Ditching a mountain for a card. Yeah, there's a concession. Just a wide board state is going to get there, and we are 3-0, really not where I expected to be at this point, so I'll take whatever I can get. Positive win rate no matter what here. Feels pretty good. Minimum amounts of gems out of the event is going to be 3,000. It's going to put us up to 60k gems in the account. Let's go! Going so infinite on Arena lately. Feels excellent. See if we can't keep it up as we head into Game 4. Here we are for Game 4. It's Time to try to do the thing. Hope that they just don't have removal and catapult curiosity. Pops off. Be a very fitting first loss when I try to do the goofy thing. We'll see. See how it works out for us. We're against red-white, which is one of the most aggressive and powerful archetypes in the format in draft. Obviously in sealed, it really depends on what they opened, but in draft I would be very scared. Seeing Plains Mountain from our opponent with a dirtily blue-red kind of deck over here. Alright, get a treasure token from a Grabby Giants, and that is all for now. I feel like Catapult Curiosity is going to be real strong at any point we set it up, so we probably... Oh, Lord Almighty, that's bad. I was going to say we probably want to set up our other creatures to draw removal first. And now we might just want to 0-4 to block this thing. Do I parry here? Because it's going to be a long time until I have the mana available to just hold up parry. We've found a kill off of parry before. It's not unreasonable that it might happen again. But, like, turn 3 I'm playing Belligerent, turn 4 Catapult Curiosity or Spellcaster or something. I'm just going to preserve life here. Make the most of my mana and try to make sure that this game takes a while, if I can. And you know what? I'm actually going to just catapult right now. Because I don't think they're going to blow up the catapult till I try to put a curiosity onto it. At least. And this way, next turn I can play Belligerent plus Curiosity in the same turn, and immediately start drawing cards off catapult. And then worst case scenario, Curiosity was 1 mana, draw 1 card, which is obviously not popping off, but we don't get, like, got there. We don't get absolutely destroyed if we draw 1 card off Curiosity. And if we play Belligerent or Catapult, they don't get to attack him with Godric unless they trigger Celebration or play a combat trick. Alright, Woodland Acolyte, draw a card. No Celebration, fingers crossed, no Celebration. That's Celebration, so we take 4 in the sky. Whichever we played between Belligerent or Catapult, the end result is the same that turn. Well, if I draw another Catapult. Pretty sure we drop a creature on board that threatens to actually kill a 2-2 or trade into a 3-3. Rather than another catapult right now. Look, and it gets to give us the little confetti. We get to have a good time with Belligerent to the ball there. Alright, let's see if they have the cheap removal. Honestly, in red-white, I don't recall what would kill catapult at common. Lots of uncommons would do it, but at common, I guess it's cut-in. Cut-in would have to be it. The 4 damage and get a young hero roll. But the 1 mana removal spell, that's 2 damage or 3 damage if they bargain. The Light Blades is 3 damage, or just straight up destroy if you bargain. That one is only for an attacker or blocker though. And we might try to treat this catapult like an enchantment at this point. Just keep it out of combat so it doesn't die to a combat trick. Although, with a Godric on our opponent's board, threatening so much damage, we probably can't afford to not be blocking with catapult. Our life total is a resource, but a resource that is getting diminished quickly to their Godric. Oh. Well, multiple 4/4s means we have no good blocks now, and they're going to easily trigger Celebration next turn, because that's a 2 mana card, so then they're setting in for 5 in the sky. Alright, we have to just draw, like, perfectly immediately. We're already down to 8. This is absolutely disgusting stuff from our opponent. Well, guess I can Spellcaster and make our 3/3 a 4/4 at least. Draw multiple cards for the future. Probably is pretty reasonable. I should have used Catapult first in case I drew something I wanted to play other than the Spellcaster, I guess, since we knew we were going to slide a hand here. I wonder which one I'm going to put in my hand. Alright. Still thinking we're super dead to Godric, but you never know. There's the 6th land. They can just play a 4/3 and a 2/2 trigger celebration, even if they don't have anything else in hand. Oh my god. Okay. Unwinnable matchup. Strikes hard here. Oh. Yeah, I only have the mana to play one creature, unless I play Catapult Messenger. And I really want to play Grabby Giant, because I want to have a reach creature so they can't just kill me off Celebration. I guess I get a flyer. This is also a 4-power creature, which is super important because of Woodland Acolyte and Godric. But I can't do that or I'm dead on board. I have to play 2 creatures. And then die to Bellowing Bruiser Haste. Alright. Well, not much you can really do there. We got to do our Curiosity Catapult thing, and it did a lot of work, but our opponent had an insanely aggressive curve for sealed that almost no decks are going to be able to beat. So 3-1 heading into game 5. Pretty happy with how I played that for the most part. Maybe there was some turn where I was dirling with Catapult shenanigans that would have been better to be trying to trade, but I think pretty much every line that we took worked out as well as it could have, especially just stopping that 3 damage early. I think that in the end was the right choice to just get that little bit of breathing room to maybe get things going there. Obviously it didn't pan out in the end, but we certainly never had time to try to parry on another turn later on. Alright, I like the turn 1 Sleep Cursed Fairy here. I don't love the Curiosity in our hand, but worst case scenario, this is like a good mulligan to 6 if I just don't play Curiosity. So I'm going to play Fairy, and then next turn I'm just going to spend 2 getting rid of one of the counters on it, I think. If I draw into Prankster with Curiosity in hand, I've already drawn 3 Fairies, so I think that our Free the Fae odds are actually pretty bad now. Yeah, I'm actually just going to drop Prankster and just curve out here all the way up the curve, plus now we have a great target for Curiosity. I think it's a little better on this than the Fairy, because the Fairy's already a pretty big target for removal. It's got the ward at least, but still. Yeah, I'm going to play Belligerent, because next turn we can trigger Celebration now. We play Mocking Sprite and Curiosity. That's 2 permanents. It's a Gale Fang, 4/4 haste, thanks to the Dread Knight. They kill Belligerent here, but that's fine. No more Belligerent. It's a trade. It's a pretty even trade, I would say. Belligerent has a good ability, but Gale Fang's a 4/4 instead of a 3/3. So I think we take that that very reasonable trade. Okay. Sprite, Curiosity. Draw at least 1 card off the Curiosity, guaranteed. So even if they kill the Prankster here, Curiosity was 1 mana, draw a card. It was another sleight of hand. If they don't kill the Prankster, we're going wild. Well, they don't kill the Prankster, but that's also a very big reach creature. And we've got no way to get around it, even with the Alchemist bubbling up here, so we Messenger. And then Sleep Cursed Fairy attacks as a 4/4 here. trades into the worm, maybe? And then the rest of the board just gets in? Nope, they're just going to take the 4 damage, alright. Could play an Alchemist. But I think I'd rather untap the Fairy. So if they attack with Worm, we can just get the reach creature out of the way. I highly doubt they're attacking, though. I probably should have played Alchemist. But it's also got the bubble up flexibility, bringing back a removal spell or counter spell or something. Alright, Beanstalk Worm is their only blocker that matters. Drawn to a Redcap Thief. They're at 13? I could attack in such a way that they kill Prankster and take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a lot of damage. I almost feel like I attack with everybody except Messenger, though, so that we still get the card draw and extra damage going. We go Fairy, Mocking Sprite, Picklock Prankster. They kill the Prankster and take 7? It's threatening a 2-turn lethal. Right, because then we attack the turn after that. They block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess it's 1 damage off. 7 plus 5 is 12, not 13. If they have no more reach creatures and they kill Talion's Messenger on this attack, we deal 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, putting them to 5 life. Next attack, they block the Fairy, and we deal 1, 2, 3, 4. That also doesn't kill them in 2 hits. Just like barely doesn't kill them in 2 hits either way. So I guess I just send in Sleep Cursed Fairy again. Make sure we draw a card, discard a card here. Find a splashy spellcaster. I think I would like to cast. I think it's okay to play just that. Still saving bubble up on the Alchemist. But I could discard the Redcap Thief and play 2 spells this turn. Alright, so I buffed the Mocking Sprite so that even if they took the trade, we had more power in the future. Alright, they play the Galefang. Galefang gets in, but that 2-4 blocker stops the 3-2 and the 3-1, which feels good. Send in the Dread Knight. Yeah, I mean, Spellcaster can get rat outed or whatever, that'd be fine. They're just going to put it as an adventure so they can draw another card off of it. Take damage to do so, which speeds up our flying clock. Alright, no reach creatures. Ooh, and we draw another flyer. That's what we love to see. Pick up an Ice Out? This board state's good enough. I think we're just casting an Ice Out now. So I'm going to ditch, actually, Alchemist. I'm going to buff the Prankster. I'm going to put a Sorcerer roll on Talion's Messenger. And now we have an Ice Out to help guarantee lethal next turn. And I can bargain away my treasure token to it. And then when I cast the Ice Out, I also put another roll onto a flyer. There's a tough cookie for life gain. At 5, they'd go to 8, because they can't eat the cookie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can hit them for 8. If I cast an Ice Out on something else. So I think I allow that and save the Ice Out for something else. Okay, they just concede anyway. Alright. Actually, I don't even have to Ice Out, right? Because we get a +1/+1 counter. I didn't even think of that during the math there. Yeah, it's already 8 damage on board. It already wins through a tough cookie. So yeah. Save the Ice Out. Unless it's something that stops me from lethaling them. Even if it hits like close to saving them. Doesn't quite get there, so keep Ice Out. And that'll do it. We are 4-1 now. In the money, we are up 500 gems if we had spent gems on the event. Really nice place to be with a pretty fun deck. Cannot really be unhappy with what happens from here, but we're only 1 win away from maximum gems prize out. and only 2 away from potential entry into the qualifier weekend, so fingers crossed here. We'll see what's up as we head into game number 6. Here we are on the play for game number 6. We got that fairy. Turn 2 probably untap, just get rid of a counter, and then turn 3 messenger is going to be pretty nice. Go with that. Both the rares and the opener here. Do like to see that. Again, Curiosity might not work out perfectly, but it's 2 flyers in the hand, which is reasonable, one of which has ward. Although again, this is already a lightning rod for removal. Despite the ward, they're certainly going to want to kill it as soon as they can afford to. With or without a Curiosity on it. Same is true for Talion's Messenger, so... would be putting all our eggs into one basket either way. Turn 1 Spiteful Hexmage, which can be super gross if they can bargain away their curse token pretty quickly, which most decks can, so I feel like that's going to be pretty nasty. Alright, Scarecrow Guide turn 2, don't bargain it away just yet, so we just take 1 damage from the Hexmage. Alright. And I could untap the fairy and hit them with Curiosity. Unless they have exactly torched the tower, I think that actually plays pretty well. Because if they have Candy Grapple or something, they'll need to wait. I'm actually going to do that. And even if they have the torch the tower, again, it's going to draw us 1 card guaranteed. So it pays for itself. 1 mana, draw a card here. I guess they could have chumped with Guide to stop the card draw, but then it still pays for itself. 1 mana, kill a Scarecrow Guide. That's a 1-for-1. Alright, fingers crossed. No torch the tower. That would be really good for our opponent here, because they could sack the curse roll on the Hex Mage and kill the fairy. But no torch the tower, and now we get to drop Italian's Messenger and start getting this fairy really out of reach of removal. Although I'd probably keep buffing the Messenger, because this is dead to Candy Grapple if they bargain away a Prism, or more realistically a Cursed Roll. Yeah, Fairy's going to be dead to Grapple, unless I make it 6 toughness, so I actually think that I should be buffing Talion's Messenger. Okay. Could cast Sleight of Hand here, but I can wait till I have a Spellcaster on board to get a roll off of it too, and I'm already pretty happy with the hand, so I don't think I need to Sleight of Hand right now. Next turn I could go Spellcaster, Sleight of Hand, or we could go Godric, because we have a Red Cap Thief coming up, so Godric will be attacking as a 4/4 Flying Dragon soon. Really depends on what they do. If they tap out, how many blockers they have up, what everything looks like on board. How much removal they play. Stab Wound on Messenger is definitely good for our opponent. I think I have to still keep it on board, and we try to stop this damage for free. Alright, cool. Stop that damage for free, take 2. And then we take 2 from Stab Wound. That's the part that's not cool. Find an Ice Out. Sadly, I can't bargain away their Stab Wound. That's their permanent, not mine, even if it's on my board, theoretically. Even if it looks like it's on my board. We can play Godric and hold up an Ice Out. I'd have to sack the Curiosity for Ice Out, but depending on what they play, it could be worth it. And I'll already have drawn quite a few cards off Curiosity at this point, so honestly, the value's already there. So let's jam these in and hold the Messenger back. Make sure we win the race by just trumping with Messenger. Yeah, I'll ditch Belligerent. Because yeah, we're at the point we don't really need more draw a card, discard a card, or more just straight draw a card. We just need to live another turn, and then we'll definitely just kill them. 2 turns maximum if they hold the Guide as a trump blocker, maybe. because then they chump block one of our 2/4/4 flyers and take 4. Song of Totentans? That's very far from lethal. Should probably still just ice it out. Be mega safe. Yeah, there's the concession. We are now 5-1, getting maximum gems out of the event. 6,000 gems, that is the maximum prize outside of that qualification into next week's qualifier weekend. So still a decent chunk on the line in this final game, but we got as paid off as we could in terms of gems, which is pretty dang sweet for this sealed pool, honestly. So, I mean, these blue rares were phenomenal. They are constantly playing incredibly well, so really has that going for it. But the red part of the deck is very wacky. It's pretty fun. It's been playing super well, so happy with whatever happens here, but certainly hoping for the best as we head into the final battle, win or lose. All right, here we are for what may be the last game of Magic. All right, here we are for the final battle, the final game of Magic for today. Bit of an awkward opener for sure, nowhere near as powerful as our last few hands, but we have been running very hot, getting super lucky. Certainly not worth a mulligan. We have both of our colors. We have something to do turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. Yeah, get a treasure, play a catapult, play a giant. Certainly looking to draw into some spicier cards than these, but don't think we can afford to mulligan this one. Our opponent is on red. Mono red for now. Drop a couple red sources. Could play the Alchemist and try to beat down while they're dirtling a bit. I'm not going to be casting a lot of instants early though, so it's just a 1/3. It's probably better to just get my treasure token. Alright, because beating down right now is doing 1 damage, and it's all mountains right now, and they just pass, so they're probably stuck off a secondary color. Which means we've got a bit of breathing room at the least here. Catapult's like our slowest way to start this game. Do we want to just try to pressure them while they're stuck on one color? Issue with that is if I play Grabby Giant here, spend my treasure, and then they just have a cut-in. They just go Mountain 4 cut-in or something. It's a risk we take, I think. I think it's pretty reasonable to just get aggressive and play the Grabby Giant. And I think that's definitely better than playing the Merry Bards, because the issue with playing Merry Bards is that could die to a Torch the Tower. If they have a Torch the Tower in hand, they have to play some way to bargain it. And then they can Torch the Tower the Grabby Giant. Okay, Witchstalker Frenzy. That works too. That's an uncommon, so a bit less likely to see than the cut-in or the Torch the Tower. Now we go for the Merry Bards, but they probably have a Torch the Tower as well. Judging by their keep. We'll see. If they don't, we're attacking with a 4/3 next turn, which is good. Alright, Torch the Tower and Witchstalker Frenzy. Incredible premium removal out of their sealed pool. We know that, at least. I can't really hold up an Ice Out here and have like a backup play. If I hold up Ice Out, I'm doing absolutely nothing if I'm not casting it. Although I can just Ice Out and then bubble up and then Ice Out again and just be super annoying, I guess. Now I really wish I had a Catapult on board before I started doing that kind of stuff, though. Red, white, and black, and they kept the monocolored opener. Alright, well, I think I'd rather Firebolt than Ice Out. That is a thing I can do instead of Icing Out. Now I can bubble up my Firebolt? But I don't think I want to. I could just play a 3/4, and then I'm tapped out. There's nothing that I can play while still holding up Ice Out, unless I went for Sleight of Hand and hoped to hit another blue source. I could play Catapult. This is, this is probably too greedy. I'm probably supposed to just hold up Ice Out, but I can technically play Catapult and then if they play something astronomically bad, then I can ice out. And that's not astronomically bad, because I can kill it with Firebolt pretty easily. So we'll set up the Firebolt for the future, I think. Plus Catapult can just block it for now. So I can bubble up my Firebolt. But then I'm not holding up Ice Out, because I don't have a third blue source. This is all kinds of awkward. I think it's fine, though. Let's just get goofy. Let's just get goofy with it. Alright. Since I can't hold up the Ice Out anyway, we're dropping the Alchemist with that final 2 mana. Although I could Sleight of Hand and immediately put the Firebolt in my hand. While I could put it in my hand, I couldn't cast it immediately, so... doesn't really do anything. Untaps Catapult, which is cool. Oh. Oh, snap, crack, pop. Of course, this doesn't target Planeswalkers. Nor does this. Alright, well, I guess we lose. That is literally the only Planeswalker in the whole format, and I think any bomb creature that they played would have been fine. Frustratingly disappointing. Because I think that's literally the only card in the whole set that punishes me nearly that bad. Out of red, black, and white... yeah, I mean, they could resolve some amount of scary creatures that we can just deal with Firebolt later. But Ashiok just straight ends the game. Very disappointing. So we have to desperately try to outrace them with a Flyer and a Catapult now as our only option. Yeah. Obviously we got hard punished in hindsight, but I think our play was pretty reasonable. Seeing as I'm thinking through the list of stuff, and it would have been fine if they resolved like a really spooky creature. I guess there's 2 cards that would have been really bad. They could have had Ashiok, or they could have had the 4/6 Flying Haste Dragon. Those things would just completely ruin us. Holy crap, they have Imidane's Recruiter to go with the Nightmares, and playing an adventure buffs them all up. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I could kill Ashiok now, but I am Mega Die anyway. And I guess now we know we can ice out a Recruiter at least, but these are all going to be 3/3s if Ashiok sticks around. So I have to clear out Ashiok instead of hitting them. If they play another adventure creature, they're also all going to be 3/3s. So we desperately hope that all they have is the Recruiter here. And we ice that out. And then I have multiple 3/3 blockers for all their 2/2s. I guess Somnophage runs at a Catapult. Do they have another adventure spell? Nope, they've got a really bad one for me. High Fae Negotiator gains them 3 more life and gives them a perfect blocker for Attendance. Okay. Game doesn't look actually completely over, but we're certainly not favored. Okay, that could change that. I can Firebolt or Frenzy the Negotiator and get in the sky, but I'm at 17 here and I'll have 3 blockers for 1 6 attacker, so 3 get in for 6 total. I think we do try to outrace that. I guess Somnophage is getting really bad for me. Witchstalker Frenzy's easy to hold up during their turn, because they're going to be attacked with like 6 creatures. Bit of a top deck war now, and Shatter the Oath is a beautiful start for our opponent, and horrible for me. Makes it a 6/6/2 to be just out of reach of Frenzy. Could not have been any better for our opponent. That's gross. Guess I can block and shoot it? It's not like any of these are attacking it anyway. Then I just have a 3/3 against a bunch of 2/2s, and it doesn't feel like a winning game, but I don't actually have the mana to shoot it. Because I didn't play land for turn, because I expected an attack with like 6 creatures. Because I didn't expect top deck Shatter the Oath. Okay. Punished for holding the land against the discard spell that's incredibly popular. The 1 mana your opponent discards a card and they lose 2, that's why I held the land there. My assumption was if they're attacking with like the whole board anyway. And if they top deck the discard spell, then I have to discard my Frenzy before I can afford to cast it if they play it main phase 1. So again, another line that I think was pretty reasonable to hold the land there, but top deck Shatter the Oath means it ends abysmally. And they just keep hitting gas. So now, even if I 2-for-1 kill Somnophage, 2-for myself to kill Somnophage, Totentan spits out another rat, and then they have like 8 attackers to my 2 blockers left. Alright, GG. I guess you can say we tried. Really disappointing game of Magic. Hurts a lot to get punished that hard for not holding up the counter. I still don't know why they're not just sending in the whole team. I mean, I guess that gives us outs if I just top deck card draw, but I think I've already cast my card draw. Yeah, I can't top deck card draw at this point. So I can't do any crazy catapult combos. And top deck all lands instead. Well, I mean, maybe we could have won if we countered Ashiok, but looking at it, looking back at it now, they literally never attacked with the Nightmares until we were already dead to everything else anyway, and I wouldn't have had the counter for Recruiter instead. So I honestly feel like I'd still be behind at this point with how the top deck war has gone. But who knows? We would have been in a better position. Yeah, I'm incredibly dead. Still had all these? Yeah, why not? Show me more gas. Okay. Alright. Not holding up the counterspell went horrifically bad there, because they had the only Planeswalker in the whole format. There were 2 Mythics it would have played really well against. Ashiok or the big flying dragon. But we would have been really fine against pretty much anything else, I think. And then again, looking back over the game, I don't think that having that perfectly timed counterspell for the Ashiok even locks us into a win there. It puts us in a better position, but with how the end of that game grinded out of them just hitting Recruiter, Negotiator, Shatter, Grapple, and then we hit like land. Feels like we still probably end up losing, but it certainly didn't work out well at all. Feels like definitely a hindsight play where we should have held up the counter. It was probably better to hold up the counter without information by a little bit, but not a dramatic amount. We just found the one scenario where it is horrifically better to hold up the counter spell. So variants will hit you like that sometimes. Get absolutely got for the final game. Still very, very happy with this record for this sealed pool. I think this is considerably weaker than a lot of the sealed pools we've been jamming against. There are some real good things going for it, and we have gotten some very lucky draws. And that's a lot of where our victories came from, being able to draw Talion's Messenger and Sleep Cursed Fairy in a lot of these games. That's the really good stuff going for this deck. I think that's basically literally it. That's the only good thing going for the sealed pool as a whole. Not even just this deck. I mean, the fact that we have at least a Witchstalker Frenzy and a Firebolt is fine, but that is all that we have when it comes to burn spells for removal and removal spells at all. Other than that, we have to use these two counter spells. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I dislike about this deck quite a bit. The really filler Alchemists with the lower instant and sorcery count. The Catapults aren't that great with the lower instant sorcery count as well, just because we don't have impressive instants and sorceries in this sealed pool is why these cards play pretty poorly here. Yeah, pretty awkward sealed pool, really awkward synergies all around. But it worked out well. We just drew incredibly well, hitting the rares. Hitting the Catapult Curiosity combo, that was pretty fun. Still had some really fun games of Magic, and we got way more mileage out of this deck than I ever expected, so I will take those 6,000 gems and happily run with them. But that is going to be it for this qualifier play-in event. That is all the time I've got. I will be jamming out at least one run of the qualifier play-in best of 3 event next Friday, so stay tuned for that if you are interested in me trying to get into the qualifier weekend again. And obviously, if we make it into the qualifier weekend, we'll also have videos out for that. So that is the competitive Magic coming up very soon, just 1 week away. But there's also another Wilds of Eldraine Arena Open at the end of October. So if you're looking for more competitive Wilds of Eldraine, we will have plenty of that in the coming months. But that is going to do it for today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.